The Fashion for Good Museum has opened its doors for the final chapter of the Knowing Cotton Otherwise exhibition. This chapter is titled Flipping the Script and challenges Eurocentric narratives while also inviting visitors to reconsider what cotton represents to all of us all around the world. One of the added installations is titled The Guardian's Garden, a textile tale by Angelo Carlo Marcus Elizabeth, who is with me here today to tell us a little bit more about his work. We're going to have a conversation. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thanks for being here.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, yes.
Yeah. Before we really get into it, I always think it's nice for people to introduce themselves quickly. Maybe you can let me know, who you are and what you do.
So, as you all heard, my name is very long, Angelo Carlo Marcus Elizabeth, and I am a creative artist and fashion designer. I'm a bit of a chameleon of the arts, so I create clothing and much more than that, and I try to tell my stories and also try to inspire people in different ways. Yeah.
Nice. And you've been in this industry for over a decade.
Yes.
So I would actually love to know what first got you excited to start designing and go into this direction.
So yes, I entered fashion more than 10 years ago. And it was more like working in a shopping environment. Mm-hmm. And after that, I started to go to like fashion events. And I started to post things online, and I became a fashion influencer at that time. And I also did some PR work, but I felt as a creative person, I have much more to contribute to the fashion community. So I started to study fashion at Artemis, and I graduated in 2021. Mm-hmm. And after that, it was meant to be, and I've been telling stories through my own designs.
Yeah, so storytelling is also an important...
Very important, also a way to tell a bit about my own personal narrative, mm-hmm. but also about my culture. Yeah.
And what was your first thought when you heard that the subject of the exhibition is cotton?
I thought that it is really interesting, a really interesting topic, because cotton has a very complex background, mm-hmm. and it had impact on a lot of people in many ways. And also, if I look back at my own heritage, cotton was being used as one of the, trading goods during the slavery past of the Netherlands. So that's why it intrigued me to tell my story also.
Yeah. And then basically, what I find very interesting actually is because now that we're also sitting here, there's so many different elements that people can see and they can also visit to come. But you told me in our previous conversations that you made candles in the past. You actually gave me some samples to smell from fragrances you are working on. Yeah. You also design. So I'm wondering what excites you about using different mediums to express yourself and create rather than just sticking to one.
Yeah, I think it's a great way for me to tell my stories to different mediums and try to connect with people in different ways. And also the fragrance part started during the pandemic. And I was bored at home and I'm super creative, so I cannot stand still. So I had to try to create something new and try to connect with my my clients and people that like my work in a different way. So I started to experiment with candles, and now I'm even working on a perfume line, which will be launched maybe at the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm. That's soon.
That's very soon. That is the goal. Yeah. But everything is going as planned till now, so finger crossed everything will go well. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, really nice. And to circle back a little bit to the actual exhibition, we're sitting in it right now. It's almost a little bit like a garden, one might say. It is called The Guardian's Garden, a textile tale. Yeah. And you told me that you sort of wanted to recreate the energy of your grandmother's garden. Yeah. So I would love to know I would love to ask you to actually describe to me what this energy is in words, if it's possible even.
The first thing when I got this chance to tell my story, my vision was my grandmother's garden, because it was a place where I used to do everything. It was my playground, my own bubble. I felt free in my grandma's garden, because kids are always outside in Curacao, playing around, having fun. And it's also a place where people come together when we have, for example, birthdays or celebration of some sort. And we use the garden in many ways. And even we cultivate our own food, so it brings people together. So that's why I wanted to tell this story, because my grandmother was a very strong black lady, and I wanted to tell the story from Virginia de Mentricia also through her garden.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about your grandmother first, because you also told me that you were sketching already when you were a kid in the garden and doing your homework. What type of person was is your grandmother?
My grandmother was quite strict. And she taught me a lot of things, and she is actually the person that shaped me into the person that I am today. And she was also very loving, and I have a very special place in her heart. And the last time that I saw her, she asked me to not stay too long in the Netherlands, come visit her very soon. She is 93 at the moment. So I need to make a trip back to visit her. But she is everything to me. She was my guardian. She gave me the chance to study. And even when I was sketching, she was also stimulating that, like, encouraging me. Yes. So, yeah, she is a very important person.
And that's why it's called the Guardian's Garden. Right?
Yes, exactly.
That's really beautiful. And then you also already mentioned Virginia de Mentricia, who was an enslaved Aruban woman. And I would love for you to also share a little bit more about her and why you wanted to include her story, but also why it was important to you to share the stories of these two black women and black women in general through your work.
That's a good question. I think black women in general, they don't get represented that much, and also their stories are not being told a lot. So when I was doing this research to create this magnificent piece behind us, I came across her story and artwork made by Vanessa Paulina, and it immediately clicked. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this artwork as inspiration for the silhouette and everything, and also tell her story. And I think connecting my grandmother, who is a strong lady, with Virginia de Mentricia, she was super rebellious, and she is now an icon for people, and I wanted to tell that story in a combination. I mix my own personal narrative with my heritage.
I think it was also beautiful to see that coming together during the opening, where you invited a dancer who was wearing the clothing, and together with her there was like a film being shown. Maybe you can tell a little bit more about that for the people that didn't have the chance to be there, what your intention was behind this performance and the film and the sound elements. A lot of what's happening.
Yes, there was indeed a performance, and I made with a good friend of mine a track. And it was inspired by the music of the coast. It's one of our traditional music. And also I wrote a poem to, so I could give this, how do you say that, this environment, this installation more depth and tell the story even more. So when you are sitting here, there will be the soundtrack playing, and you will hear my voice telling this poem, which has many layers and also is describing actually all the emotions behind the installation that you will be in the center of.
And then the performance itself was like incorporating dance also.
Yeah, it's incorporating dance, because the music of the ghost has a certain traditional dance, and I wanted the dancer to visualize that and let all the guests have, just let them enter into my world a bit.
And how did you experience that?
I think it was really beautiful. Everything went as I planned it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Because that's not always the case with like openings and big events.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy to hear that.
And it was beautiful to see. And also I got a lot of good feedback and people understood the message, which is very important to me that they got it. Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I actually already want to thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. And I want to tell everyone who still wants to get the chance to also see this beautiful work and the installation that we're sitting in right now, you still have the chance to do so until October 16th, right here in the Fashion for Good Museum in Amsterdam. So make sure to come by. And I want to thank you so much for watching.